Alright, this is like cherry shrimp nano tank video number 3. I've done some more changes to the tank. Let's see, someone was asking, they're like, wasn't that your beta tank? And yes, it was my beta tank. What happened to my beta was, not because it was in a 1.5 gallon tank, it was actually flourishing very well, but I went to England for 2 weeks last year. And while I was gone, I left specific instructions for my father to how to feed the beta, only 2 pellets. And I even said that I would call him to tell him when to feed the fish, because I was only going to have him feed him like every 2 days. I know that sounds harsh, but you know, I'm only gone for 2 weeks and the beta would have been totally fine. But I didn't want the water to get dirty since I wasn't going to be home to clean it, so I was going to give him like 2 pellets every other day. Or something like that. Anyway, it would have worked out fine. But my loving father, I adore my loving father. Don't ever speak bad of my dad, like ever. Never mind. Anyway, but yeah, no, so my dad, even though I left a written note that only feed, you know, Cinchi 2 pellets when I call from his beta pellets, and that's, you know, the beta pellets here, the omegas, because you know, Omega 1 makes great beta pellet stuff. So yeah, but when I went to England, my dad did feed him. My dad was trying to do right, and my dad, while I was gone, completely overfed the poor fish. And so I thought I was doing okay leaving instructions and telling him that I would call to tell him when to feed him, because I know my dad's bad at feeding animals more than they need, but he didn't think 2 pellets looked like it was enough because they are microscopic tiny. And I had to tell him, I was like, Dad, I told you that their stomachs are only about the size of their eyeball. You know, overfeeding them like that. And yeah, so long story short, Cinchi didn't make it and he passed away. And it was kind of a bummer, and I really liked him, and you know, I've had him for a while by then, and he was doing great. He liked to interact with me. He would come to the tank and we would play, and he would do his little things, and he did little jumpies, and he'd chase my finger, and he'd flare up and get all excited, and when I'd come home he'd come over and say hi. And anyway, so yeah, that's, I've kept betas for a long time before, and each time I keep them they usually last about 5 years. So that was the first one I've ever had die so early because of a simple mistake. And like I said, it's not my dad's fault. I had 2 options. I should have took him over to the local pet shop, and I know the owner very well, and I know she would have beta set for me, but I didn't want to trouble her, so I thought if I left instructions my dad could probably do it. And my dad really meant well. He was afraid that he was underfeeding my fish. And so yeah, that's what happened to the beta. Anyway, back to the shrimp. This is easier anyway. And since I'm working a lot now, I guess I don't feel like I have to pay these guys attention. They kind of do their own thing. I still have the same 4 little shrimp in here. They are flourishing fantastically. I had some issues with the Amazon sword back there where the leaves were going see-through. I don't know if you can see some of them back there, still getting that see-through look to them. There we go, there's one. Like right there, the back there. So what I read is it could be a fact that they're in a new tank, the fact that there might not be enough nutrients in the sand. The sand, the rock, and all that were all in there with the beta. I didn't really clean them off. I sort of rinsed them in, you know, their water, treated water, but I didn't actually clean them. I wanted to keep all that, you know, fish stuff on there the best I could, but like I said, my tank was pretty dirty when I came home. So anyway, so I added some pellets, I don't know what I put them, like Flourish, fertilizer, not fertilizer, well yeah, it's a fertilizer type. I did a lot of Google research to make sure it wouldn't hurt the shrimp. I looked at all, you know, I read a lot of web pages, a lot, and by a lot I mean I researched by reading multiple web pages, and then I just kind of pieced together what everybody repeats. So if multiple web pages say one thing, then I mean it's got to be a pretty good chance that it's okay. So that's what I went by, and I didn't put a full nugget in there because they come in big old, I mean they're pretty good size, and my tank's really tiny, so I cut it into 4s, even though it was really hard to do because they're like rocks. So I basically chipped it into 4 pieces, and I put a 1/4 of a piece kind of in the middle there, a little past where that rock is, closer to the little Amazon sword, and I buried it in the sand. And I got brighter lighting. I'm not sure if it's too bright though, but it looks good. This is my new light for my tank. But I figure, like, for the lighting to really take effect, not only does it have to penetrate the water to give the plants what they need, but it has to go through this lid. And technically, without a beta in the tank, I guess I don't need the lid, because, I mean, I don't think the shrimp are going to jump out. But I kind of keep it on for, I guess, safety reasons and, you know, whatever. So I would figure a stronger light would help penetrate the lid and the water and give all the live plants the light that they need. It is on a timer. I got... well, I don't know if you can see down there. That's all my cable. Oh wait, there's those things I used right here. Random blackness. The flourish tabs, the gravel bed supplement for planted aquariums. But like I said, I only broke a fourth off, and I did a lot of reading, and they said they were okay. And, ugh, there we go. That white thing down there is my timer for the light. It turns on about 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning and turns off at about 9 o'clock at night. Because, you know, sometimes I forget. So, that's my new filter in the back. My new little sponge filter. And if you see that blue bit right in the middle in that pipe, like, right about there, that was actually a tiny little air hose, air bubbler thing, just the little small ones you can get for 90 cents. I broke it on both ends because it's kind of hollow in the middle, and then I hollowed out the middle a little bit wider to fit the air hose to fit into that little plastic pipe there that connects to the thing, because the bubbles were really big and it was really shaking my tank. So that was my fix. So now the air bubbles up into the hose and it builds up on the air stone, and the air stone bubbles them out a lot smaller. So there's still a little surface friction there, but the shrimp seem to kind of like it, so we're gonna let it go. There's my really bright female in the back. You can see her red dot in there, like a little apple on a tree. I don't think she has eggs. I finally got a really good look at her. I think she's just a really big, bright, beautiful female. I'm starting to think all of these guys are females, honestly. Boris is tripping over my cords when my phone's shaking. But they all seem to look like they have saddles. I don't think wait, Boris! Oh, buddy, get out of here. You big butthead. Hey, Boris bear. Boris, what do you want, buddy? I'm making a video on shrimp, not a video on Boris. He doesn't care. He wants attention too. But yeah, I think they're all female, which is kind of sad if they are all female, because that means I won't have any babies. And I was looking online to order some more, but I don't want to overfill my little tank of shrimp, and the shrimp farm only ships out cherry shrimp in tins, and I don't want to put 10 with the 5 that are already in there. I did find on eBay there's some that you can buy for 5. The shipping was ridiculous, so I decided against that. But I did see another one on eBay where same thing, you can buy 5, so I'm thinking about that one. They have really good reviews. But I would really like to try to, you know, get a male or so in there, but see how they have their... Boris! Hold on, I gotta cater to the dog. Alright, I'm pretty sure I didn't get rid of him for long. I'm kind of crouched on the ground, so he's all about like I'm in his business. Okay, anyway, so besides taking care of the plants, which that thing is doing really well. It looks really neat in there. I really like it. I got some mineral stones. There's one right there. And there's one right there. I have a whole packet of them, but I only put 2 mineral stones in. I heard they last about 6 months or so, and they want you to change them out. And my tank's tiny, so I figured 2's alright. I thought they were all white, but when I rinsed this one off, it turned red. So if there's not a such thing as red mineral stones, and they're all supposed to be white, then, well, I got a dud, but I think either way, I don't think it matters. But that's about the update to my little shrimp tank. But yeah, see, I'm trying to show the back, because it all kind of looks like they have saddles, but I don't know. But see that definitely, I don't know. It could just be a spine, I don't know. She's always hiding. She comes out when I put food in there. I'm still trying to figure out how often to feed them. The tank is so clean right now. That little snail and these guys, I don't see much for extra algae growth, and I don't want them to starve to death. So I give them like a pellet or 2 every other day right now, just to make sure they don't starve. They don't seem to like the algae wafers. Even the snail seems to ignore the algae wafers. But that's my update number 3. These guys are doing fantastic, by the way. I mean, they seem to really be doing well in this little tank. And they really do amuse me. I can go watch these guys for hours. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. I don't have a whole lot to say. This is my little shrimp family. in my new little tank. Well, redone tank. I'm hoping those Amazons really perk back up. Super bright. Well, see that light? I had it on my wish list because I thought it looked a lot smaller, and I was like, I might buy it someday. You know, I'm put it on my wish list. And then my phone buzzed while I was at work, and it was like, an item on your wish list just went on one of the super sales. So instead of like 20-something dollars, it went on sale for $19, and then it went on a super sale for $14. And I was like, okay, I'll spend $14 for a bright light. So I moved my other light up there, but I haven't really used it anymore. It's just sitting there. I got the super bright. But I won't get any brighter. I think if I get any brighter, it'll be too bright. Just want to make sure my plants are okay. Alright, that's my nano 1.5 gallon shrimp tank update number 3. Thanks for watching.